podcast fam. A self-described obsessed runner, Betsy Suda came to Gainesville from Boston in 2010 for graduate school and, of course, for the great running weather and running culture. Who doesn't? After earning her degree in organic chemistry, teaching at Santa Fe for several semesters, and working part-time in the running industry, Betsy decided that not only did she love the sport of running, but she also loved the business of running. Suda's FitFoot mobile athletic shoe store grew out of the need she saw for a more efficient, convenient, and fun way to get fitted and buy shoes. One of the first things a professor said to her when she arrived on UF's campus was, "You're not a traditional student," and her business model and dreams for her company are anything but traditional. Hear about her interesting company in today's episode 157 of the WHOA GNV podcast. You are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV Podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. I am your host, Collin, and today's episode is being brought to you by The Best Restoration. You guys, we all know that due to the impact of COVID-19, that deeply cleaned and highly sanitized businesses are the new norm. You know your customers are going to want to walk into a business they know is safe. Make sure you call The Best Restoration, and let them help you with all of your needs. These guys can handle everything. They do water extraction and restoration, mold remediation, which I've said multiple times. They've helped us with that here at the dealership. And area rug cleaning, air duct cleaning, carpet cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, carpet repairs. They have carpet protectant services, upholstery cleaning services, fire damage restoration, and so much more. Be sure to give them a shout at 352-505-3321 or visit them at thebestrestoration.com. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. And in this episode, I wanted to give a very special thank you. I have a great friend out there. His name is Jason Gonos from Power Production Management. Jason, I just want to say thank you so much, man. He had reached out to me, you guys, and said, "Hey, Collin, I love what you're doing. How can I make a donation to your show?" And of course, receiving the support of our listeners, local businesses, our community, it's absolutely incredible. Obviously, I pour a lot of time and energy into this, and I want to continue to keep building this amazing community. So when someone recognizes that, of course, it gives me the warm and fuzzies, and it makes me feel good. So thank you so much, Jason, for your support, man. And podcast fam, if you're looking at or thinking about solar for your home, that's what Jason does. Power Production Management. Give them a call. Give them the opportunity to earn your business. They are great people. And if you want to learn more about them, they were actually on episode 65. We had Jason and Alex on the show, and I'd encourage you to go back and hear their story. So thank you again, Jason and PPM, for believing in my mission and for the support. That was a very generous donation. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. And, it's time to get into the show. So, you guys, today on the show, we have Betsy Suda, owner and chief shoe expert at Suda's FitFoot mobile athletic shoe store. Betsy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Collin. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So I want to start from the beginning. Yeah. I want to hear your story.
Yeah.
So what's your story?
Well, the business opened in December 1st, 2018. And the purpose was really to kind of meet a need. I was a frustrated shoe consumer, and also I was really inspired by my grandmother. So those two things kind of led me to solve a solution. I thought, running is like my favorite thing to do, and I thought shoe shopping should also be really fun. And then,
how does running become your favorite thing to do?
Yeah,
running to me is
So we'll backtrack.
Yeah, backtrack a little bit.
Yeah. I found running, and that's kind of how it feels like. I found it when I was 14. And I tried out, everyone made it, the cross-country team in high school. And it was just, I can only describe it as love at first run. It was just, I felt free. I felt just like I was flying, and I wasn't. I was not like a great runner right off the bat, but I just loved the feeling of movement and kind of powering yourself. And then I had a great team, and we we won a couple of state championships, and like that gets really addicting.
Okay, so where was this at?
This is up in Newburyport, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So it's north of Boston, almost to New Hampshire. And it was just a great kind of formative experience. And I've been honestly running almost every day since.
So what got you down here?
Yeah. I came to Gainesville for graduate school in 2010. And I stayed.
We're glad.
Yeah. It was, I like to think I really thought that decision out, but I kind of made it based on very little evidence of whether it would work out or not. So I knew I wanted to go back to school to get, I wanted to get my PhD in chemistry, and I really thought I was going to be going to the University of Vermont in Burlington. And kind of last minute, I applied here because I knew a few people in town through the running community, nothing to do with chemistry. And I came here for a visit, and I saw, the stadium lit up, like the stadium walk at night, and the palm trees and the weather, and the department was just amazing and large, and just all of these people studying chemistry. And I thought, this could be really fun.
So real quick, what was your path before this? You came here for grad school and you were going to go back to Vermont. What was the career track? What were you going to do?
So I was teaching up in Boston. I was a chemistry adjunct professor.
Okay.
But my degree, my undergraduate degree was in chemistry and biology, and then my graduate degree was in epidemiology. And that qualified me to teach like freshman chemistry. And I thought, I really want to go back and get my PhD in chemistry. And I thought the tenured track professorship was going to be my path. So I came here, and I got my...
Then it all changed.
And then it all just changed, yeah. So one thing led to another, and here we are. I sell shoes. So, I got my degree in organic chemistry from the University of Florida, and then I taught at Santa Fe College for several semesters. And then
Do you like teaching?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. And I really love teaching organic chemistry, particularly because it's so hard, and I can really identify with students that struggle with it because, it was hard for me too. Yeah. And so once you can, connect with a student and really kind of convey the whole broader picture of it, and then once they get it, it's just really amazing. So, yeah,
I did that. Do you still do any of that? Any teaching?
I tutor a little bit.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So, adjunct professors make very little money, so you kind of need to supplement it, which I did by working at a running store. And I was also employed by the Florida Track Club, which is a nonprofit here in town. So I was their outreach coordinator and then their executive director. And I just realized that I really love the business of running. And I had this idea to start my own business and kind of make the shoe shopping experience more efficient, more fun, more inspirational. So that's how we got here.
All right. So, I think the very interesting part, non-traditional part of what you do is this mobile aspect, right? So, what kind of led you down that path versus opening a retail store or something like that? Yeah. When you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, what was the fire to just go out and do it? What was the process?
Again, I think it just kind of came to me. I think I was daydreaming one day, and I have this dream, which I still haven't given up on, is to get an RV, a Volkswagen RV, and just kind of drive up the coast of California. The big, the big vans with the wheel that's horizontal, and you just kind of drive like this, and it has 16 windows. You know what I mean? And I'd really like to restore a 1954. It's a Tiffany blue. I have a very specific car in mind. So anyway, that's kind of where it started.
VW bus type?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. They're supposed to be making an electric one that's kind of reflective of that old school look.
So
I don't know.
So that would be very helpful because I know nothing about cars and antique cars especially. So I was I don't think I should really, bet on a business based on an antique car that I don't know how to maintain or drive. So I just kind of thought about ways to make the retail experience more efficient, because when you go shopping, think about a store in the mall, they're open from sometimes 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., right? You need to staff it, electricity, rent, and then it's not like people are buying 10 shoes a minute or something. It's like it's very slow and a lot of overhead. So I just thought of ways to bring shoes to people instead of having people come and get shoes. And so that's where
You're like the food truck of shoes.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's kind of how I describe it to people.
Yeah.
It's like a food truck for shoes. Yeah.
So you're really going to where the market is versus like really making the market come to you.
Exactly.
Is that a good one?
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like going to events where there's runners and that kind of thing? I mean, how do you plan like where you're going to be and where you're going to be selling, I guess?
Yeah. So the business plan, pre-COVID. So I started, like I said, in the very end of 2018. And my business model was very much B2B, so business to business. I reached out to businesses here in town, especially gyms. We have so many like really high-end kind of boutique gyms, and people belong to several of them. Like you've got your Go Primals and your Oxo Fitness and your Access Training Studio and your, Sweat Life and Gainesville Health and Fitness. So I reached out to a lot of those places and just said, hi, I have this business. Would you be interested, or would your clients be interested if I came and did a pop-up one day? We could make it an event, or I could just, set up one evening and see if anyone would like some shoes. And so a lot of people, took me up on it, and we kind of went from there. Then when the pandemic hit, that was shut down, within a weekend. And then it became more of an individual shoe fitting appointment. So more concierge service, going to people more directly.
So is it coming back around now?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. At the height of, like before March 15th or whatever last year, I was doing probably 3 pop-ups a week, which was good. Now I'll do maybe 3 a month. So it's completely shifted the percentage of pop-ups to shoe fitting appointments. But
okay, so talk to me about the process a little bit. If I wanted a pair of your shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, are you like coming here in the middle of the day to the dealership with your trailer?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, really?
So my little shoemobile. Yeah.
So it's like a point where are you like literally going around town for different appointments?
Like my milk route. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious how it works.
Yeah. So you can contact me on my website, through social media, word of mouth, and just you can say, hey, I'd like to check out some shoes, and then I'll send you a quick survey, and you can tell me kind of like what you're looking for, what size you think you are. And then we'll set up a time that works for you, and I'll bring you a selection of shoes, and I'll measure your feet and watch you walk and have you try them on right there. And if I have what you need, you can buy right on the spot, or if I need to, order something, it takes about a week or 2 to get in.
All right.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it really solves a lot of problems, because like online shoe shopping can be a nightmare, because you're kind of blind unless you know the shoe already. But shoes change every season, so like even the same style can be very different, every 6 months. And, you just waste a lot of time buying shoes blindly online. So you want to like try on shoes, but also, who wants to go to a store these days?
I love the model. I just think it's like super creative, super unique.
It's very lean.
What's the response been from clients? I mean, people at these gyms, they're like, is it recognizable? They see you out in the parking lot and they know you're there.
Yeah,
and like, let's go try on some shoes.
Yeah, so I've got my RV parked out front. I got it wrapped at the wrap spot here in town. Cool. And so you can tell, what it is.
Shout out Garrick.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a great job. So yeah, it's quite recognizable. And what happened during the pandemic, which I didn't really anticipate, but it's been really enjoyable, is like just getting to hear people. Like you really, when you have a one-on-one appointment for shoes, you can really talk to the person. When you're in a store, there's a lot of distractions. You're kind of rushed. You have to maybe wait in line. So like you don't really get to know your customers. But when you're like coming to their home or their place of work, you get to like have a really nice chat. Like yesterday, I met a woman who celebrating her 50th wedding anniversary next month, and cool. She's going camping with her husband and wanted some shoes, and just like nice things about people you get to hear. And
that's part of that experience too. You really start, we all know that in business and really in anything, like relationships are the key.
It's it, yeah.
So you get the opportunity to build that relationship. That's always going to lead to more word of mouth, more,
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
it's amazing.
And you're going to remember
from a
it.
business standpoint.
Yeah. Like I remember pretty much all of my customers. I have
awesome.
A spreadsheet too with their info, so I can recall their shoe size. But it's nice. It's nice.
I was about to ask, can you remember people's shoe size? Because one of the things that customers used to get freaked out about myself in the early days was I always remembered remembered their full name
Sure.
and the scooter that they bought.
Yeah.
They would come back like 2 years later for something, and I'd be like, oh yeah, Daniel Simpson, Red Metro Retro, right? They'd be like, whoa, dude, you're weird, man.
Yeah.
It was just like this like super weird thing, and I just remembered. But
Yeah, no, my brain works that way too. Yeah, I think that helps in retail. It's the clarifying.
I'm gonna get fitted for shoes, and I'm gonna see if down the road you remember without looking at a spreadsheet. You can't cheat.
Okay.
Whether if you know my shoe size or not.
Okay.
Can you? If I just lift up my foot, can you just guess? Are you that good?
Turn it a little bit. It's kind of a weird angle. I would say
this is new.
Yeah, I would say 10 and a half or 11.
Ooh, 11. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Okay. So, I mean, now that you've been doing this, like, is the model, or is this one of those businesses you're like, I get to kind of create my own schedule, live the way I want to live, and that's it? Or like, are you being very strategic about, all right, like I want to hit, I don't know, what X amount of revenue by the end of this year, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you really want to focus on the growth of the business, or is this more of like, man, this just allows me to live the lifestyle that I want to live?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Yeah,
Okay.
Being an athlete, I'm very like goal driven, and numbers are important, and growth is definitely kind of like the overarching theme of life.
Yeah.
So I would be really curious to see how I can grow and what that looks like. But also at the same time, it is nice just to have done something, to create something, and just kind of see, where it can take you. There's like a balance of like directing something, the energy of your business, and then also seeing like where you're needed and where you can solve problems. So I'm kind of in that middle right now.
Have you seen any evolutionary changes, or other products starting to organically build from anything customers are asking for, maybe?
Yeah, well, the shoe industry is changing a lot right now, especially at like the really high end, like the elite athletes. They're running with shoes that have carbon plates in them, and they give really nice response on the ground. So what that means is just faster times. Like, you're going to see a lot of American records being broken this summer. There's the Olympics coming up, and they're all going to have these like super shoes. So that's starting.
It's all about the shoes.
Yeah, so that's starting to trickle down to us, non-Olympians here. So there's that, and I just think sneakers and running shoes have just such an important part in like American culture, and I think a really great shoe can just do a lot for people, for their look, for their comfort, for function, and here in Florida you can get away with sneakers like all year round. So.
But like right now, you're a one-woman shop.
Yeah.
So you don't have any team members. I mean, is this something when you're picturing the future, you're like, man, I'm gonna have like 4 or 5 of these driving around?
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
It totally is. Yeah. I would love to see it grow in that way, because I think it could serve a lot of different communities. And I like the idea of like franchising and having someone else, build their dream in their own city.
It kind of reminds me, there's like these companies, like we have like Snap-on Tools, and they have like these trucks, and they'll like literally stop and sell tools to the mechanics and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah, just very efficient.
That's like a franchise.
Lean.
Those people like buy that truck and sell those tools. So
yeah,
that's cool. So I mean, what's the biggest challenge so far with all of this?
During the pandemic, it was getting in front of people. Okay. Because to sell, you need customers, and you need to have good messaging and marketing. And like I said, I was mainly B2B, and then I was like overnight B2C. So I had to learn really quickly to be comfortable with going live on Instagram and writing like a really great sales marketing email, and all of that stuff that was kind of just not really on my mind for the first 15 months of my business. So that's, I think, now more a strength, just because I've had to learn it so quickly. And then, with retail, it's always like getting stock and like having inventory, and having things ready for people when they want them. So those two things, I think, right now are my focus. It's like marketing, like solving people's problems and communicating that, and then just having the product on hand too.
Yeah. I mean, do you have to keep product like stashed in your garage or something? And you're where are you keeping all the inventory?
So I had a storage unit for the first year, and then, because I had 2 roommates, we live in a house, and I kept all the shoes in a storage facility. And then I've grown, and so now I've just kind of taken over my house, and so like one half of the house is all Suda's FitFoot headquarters, and then I live in the other house, and I've got a couple hundred pairs of shoes in my house. So yeah.
Is there any inventory? Like I feel like the problem with shoes, and I'm just like, I don't know anything about shoes, but like I feel like when you have to have several different sizes.
Yeah.
You have to keep a lot, right?
Keep a lot.
I mean,
so yeah.
I can picture inventory sitting around for a while, or particular sizes or like whatever. I mean, is this a thing where you're just like, is there any pair of shoe that you're just like right now itching to like get out? I've had this happen even with scooters before. I'm like, man, I cannot sell the scooter for the life of me.
Yeah. Usually putting shoes on sale kind of takes care of that.
Okay, I'll get it gone.
So you have to kind of maybe take a loss on them. So yeah, that is a challenge. Yeah, you don't want extra shoes from 3 years ago. But sometimes people will get a shoe that they love, and they're like, "Oh, do you have this, version that's from, 2018?" I'll say, "Yes, actually, I do." So there's that. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's there's waste, but you can put it to good use. A pair of shoes will find a home.
The thing with shoes a lot of the times is you fall in love with a particular pair, and then you can't get them.
Yeah.
There's shoes where I'm like, man, I wish I could find these shoes from 3 years ago.
I know. I was heartbroken in high school. My first pair of Saucony Grid something, it felt amazing. It was my first real pair of running shoes, and when you get your first pair of running shoes, it's like nothing else. And then, of course, they discontinued it just because that's like what you do as a shoe company to keep people buying the newest version. And so I wrote a letter to Saucony, and I was like, "Oh, you don't understand. These are like my favorite
Please
shoes.
make them specifically for me."
And they're like, "Well, this is just business. Sorry." So yeah, people do fall in love
now
with
that
it.
you kind of reflect on all of this and where you're at, like, I mean, did you have those entrepreneurial tendencies as a kid? You did.
Absolutely, yeah.
What were like some of the businesses or ideas that you had when you were a child?
My brother and I had a yard sale when we were like 5 and 6 years old, and it was just like a folding table at the end of our driveway with a box of like our like McDonald's Happy Meal toys, just like in a little shoebox. And someone drove by and said, I'll buy it all for $5. And it was just such a high getting a $5 bill. Then I babysat a lot. And I also had a newspaper route, which was great income for a 12-year-old. You got like tips, and when Christmas came, you got bonuses, and that was really great training. But it was just so nice to have like cash flow as a kid. I babysat a lot, had a newspaper route. I put together a kids camp, like a summer camp when I was like 12, and parents paid me to take their kids. So again, just
parents will do that.
Parents will do that.
They will pay to get rid of their children for a few hours.
Yeah, and this was back in like the early 90s, so like there weren't a whole lot of technology options for parents to give their kids. So they were like, "Yes, entertain my children for me," and I did.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I've wanted to have a business ever since I was maybe 5.
Yeah. Now, like with the business here in Gainesville, you ended up sticking around.
Yeah.
How can Gainesville better like serve your business? Is there anything?
Oh, well, one thing I'd like for the running community at large is like a big name race, like Jacksonville has the Gate River Run, and thousands of people come for that. It's on their calendar every year. It's great for the community. It brings in a ton of visitors, their hotels fill up, their restaurants fill up, and it's like a whole weekend. Pros come in. I would love to see that. I think we've gotten, kind of on the path towards it a few times with some races, but it really just takes someone to kind of spearhead it and be a volunteer for a while, because you need the race to happen every single year. You need it to kind of go off without a hitch. You need people to do everything from like give out bibs and like give out water and like clean up afterwards. And it's just it's a huge undertaking, and like it's not going to make money for probably decades. But I think if we
which sounds like a great reason why I should spearhead that.
but races like that, they bring people together.
Yeah. It's definitely a community builder for sure.
Yeah, and people that do the Gate River Run, they'll talk about it. They'll get their medal. It might be the only race they do all year. It can really turn people on to a healthy lifestyle. It's a fun thing to do with families. It's just like a really beautiful event. So I would love to see Gainesville really get behind like a major race like that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
We definitely, I mean, we do have a pretty good amount of like 5Ks and stuff, I feel like.
We do.
I mean, I know COVID kind of slowed up everything, but
yeah.
But my kids, they're running everything.
Do they?
Like,
yeah.
all the time. And
Nice.
he's my son, 11, he's like doing his 5K in 21 minutes, and here I am like 10 minutes later, actually probably more like 15 minutes later. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with these young ones anymore.
Yeah. No, it's a great sport for kids because you can just kind of pick it up and do it once a week if you want, or you can, take it more seriously and just have fun with it.
Yeah. So how about personally? Because you said you have a couple of roommates, so you don't have a family or anything? Or?
Well, my parents live up in Massachusetts where I'm from.
Okay.
Then I've got a brother who lives in London. So
London,
that's
okay.
tough. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to, seeing that part of my family, and my niece and nephew over there with him. And, so that was probably the toughest part of COVID, was
Being
really
separated.
feeling separated, so we needed to like think of ways to get creative and, feel more connected.
So are you working like all the time? Or, like are you one of these people that can like really have the hours like during the day? It's like, okay, from 9:30 to 5:30, like I'm working. You always hear the term work-life balance. Like, how would you describe your work-life balance?
I mean, I don't think anything's ever really balanced, especially for someone who is like a pretty serious athlete too. Like if I'm in season, like it's pretty intense. So yeah, and working retail, I think you just kind of sign up for a life that's kind of non-traditional hours. Like I'm fine with a customer emailing me or calling me at 8 p.m. and saying like, oh, could you bring some shoes? And that's fine. I don't need to like like cut it off, at a certain hour. And yeah, like weekends are typically more busy for retail because that's when people shop, and kind of off hours. But again, it's not like a burden. I'm happy to do it and make the sale and serve the customers when kind of it suits their schedule.
Yeah. So you're taking like is that a busy time of the weekends for you? Like you're taking your trailer out all the weekends, or?
Yeah. Saturdays, like this Saturday, I'll be at Lane Performance. Okay. It's a weightlifting gym, kind of over across from Reggae Shack, like over in that kind of complex. Okay. It's a youth weightlifting day, so I'll be popping up there on Saturday. So yeah, Saturday mornings are pretty busy. People are out doing activities, and races usually happen Saturdays or Sundays. And then usually I have appointments Saturday afternoons or Sundays. So
okay, yeah. So like, what are like the pain in the ass parts of the business that you really don't like? Because this is what I always find with entrepreneurs. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna have this mobile shoe store. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And we like, we go down these paths, and we like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great things of business that we really, really enjoy, right? But then you're like, dang, I didn't know how to do this or this. Right. There's like always those parts of business that are like terrible. I mean, I could rattle mine off in the
Really?
heartbeat.
What's yours? Yeah.
Oh man, like the bookkeeping, like tax stuff, like dealing with sales tax, and we have to collect like solid waste tax. So I didn't even know what that was for like a year. Like there's like all these like little things that continuously pop up, and I mean even insurance stuff, like people with insurance, they got to come out and like take pictures, and I got to meet with these people, and we have we got credit lines for like the scooters and stuff, and these auditors will like show up to make sure that we haven't sold the inventory and not paid for it. Like there's like all these things that I'm just like, man, I did not really realize that I was gonna have to do all of this when I got into business.
Yeah, I'm with you on the like taxes and accounting. That just doesn't seem fun to like give your money away. Never. Like that just never, feels all warm and fuzzy.
Exactly.
It does feel good to be able to pay your bills though, to like have the cash flow to do that. So that's kind of how I look at that. Whenever I really don't want to do something, I just say like, well, at least I have the money to pay this bill. And like, I'm getting ahead of the tax collector. But yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Insurance doesn't really blow my skirt up. Taxes, accounting, just because I'm not familiar with that. Like I'm an organic chemist that sells running shoes. Like I don't know accounting. Yeah. But once you kind of dig into it and kind of like poke around QuickBooks, it's not like that hard. Like we can all figure it out. It's just whether we want to give the time to it.
So you're doing it yourself?
Doing it myself, yeah.
Yeah. I remember those days.
Yeah.
I definitely don't do it
Yeah.
myself anymore. I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It's like beating my head against the wall.
That's the next goal is like, I'm almost to the point where I can outsource some things.
Yeah.
So,
I guess it's a nice place.
it is. Yeah. Yeah. Growth is good because then you can, get someone else to do things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And you can just kind of stay in your own zone of genius and do what you want to do.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure that part out too. I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always tell people, I was like, I feel like I'm kind of handcuffed right now because I'm like running the showroom again, and I'm like, I'm on the sales floor from 9:30 to 5:30. So I'm unlocking the door in the morning and working all day. Yeah,
And you've been here
17 years.
Yeah, okay.
17 years. So that's what I was like.
You've paid your dues.
Yeah, it's like time for that to kind of be done with. But a lot of it had to do with COVID and getting back in here on the ground floor again. So,
Yeah.
But
It's not the right time to sell yet, or
it's just not really the right time. I mean, like definitely been exploring options, definitely trying to figure out like what's next.
Right.
This is obviously like my passion has been super fueled by this, right? Like I love doing this.
Like business coaching.
Business coaching, I don't know if
That's not your thing.
Maybe I just don't like the word coaching. It's like
Consulting.
there's a lot of like coaches and stuff out there. I just like talking.
Yeah.
I like to build relationships. I like to get to know people. I like to know how I can help them achieve their goals. That's a huge thing for me. It's like, okay, like how, that's the whole reason this podcast exists. It was like, everybody's talking about the future of Gainesville and like where Gainesville is going. I'm like, you know what? Like I can help with that. That's like in my, in my God-given gifts, I would definitely say I'm a community builder. Like that's, I'm a person who can connect well with others and definitely marketing, sharing a message. And if there's a common message of like, dude, look what makes Gainesville so awesome. Yeah. All of these great people, all these great businesses, you should be a part of it. Come here.
I will say that.
Move here to become a teacher and then stay.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Gainesville,
start shoe business.
Right. We're known for our athletics, like our Gators and Shans and academics, but I don't know another place that's this supportive of entrepreneurs, and especially, small scale entrepreneurs, first time entrepreneurs, and female entrepreneurs, like, which is, me, like check. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. And it makes Gainesville very unique and attractive to folks that have a dream and want to kind of try it out and are brave and need support.
Yeah. So, I mean, why did you think you had what it took to do it? Like there's that risk factor, right? It's like the comfort level. There's just this natural comfort level, and to like leave that and to go start something like this. I mean, what was going through your mind?
That's a great question. So I'll say this about graduate school, especially in chemistry, that it really taught me how to fail, which is a life skill that unless you're put in a really difficult position, or unless you really take risks and try things, like you can totally get through life without major failure. I think a lot of people do, and they just think that they're awesome, which is great. Like it's great to have that self-concept. But science in general, organic chemistry specifically, and I think the department I was in was so competitive. It was like cutthroat. It was so hard. And the expectations was just like, you need to produce. And I failed a lot. I think I remember 2 days out of my whole 3.5 years where I like accomplished something. Like I made a product that I wanted. I got a good job from my boss. Every other day was just like, oh gosh, I got to like make it through this day. Experiments fail, you don't get the right answer. Like there's all these personalities in the lab that you got to deal with. Like it's hard. So all that to say is I learned how to like not be comfortable in failure, but to realize that it's like part of the game. And like Simon Sinek talks about like the two types of games, like the long game and the short game. I forget what he names them. Someone can look this up for me, but he's like the point of business is to stay in business. Like you don't win in business really. Like you can make more than somebody, but how does that make you a winner? You know what I mean? Like it's the whole point of doing a good job is to get to do the good job again. So chemistry really taught me that in graduate school at the University of Florida. It taught me how to just like stay in the game. And there's no guarantees really in anything, but like it's kind of playing the game that's the most fun. So yeah, that's kind of what I held on to during COVID and quarantine, was like, just, you got to just stay in the game, like everyone's going through this hard time. It's like championship season. You're like the ultimate underdog. Like, what do you got to do? Just like make it to tomorrow and like keep going that way.
Yeah, it's a good mindset for sure.
Yeah, it's really served me well. Like, I've been in a lot of situations where things are just not going well, like whether it's academically or physically, in a race or something. And you just kind of have to call upon your strength and also just like your mind and be like, okay, it's okay if this isn't like my best race ever. Like, there's dignity in failing well. Like, just, you have to get across the finish line sometimes.
Yeah. Do your best ideas come when you're running?
Sometimes. I think just daydreaming is really important. Okay. And I don't think people daydream enough. So,
see, the only reason I like running.
Yeah. So I don't really daydream while I run. Like, I'm a little more focused with it, because that's not really like where I go to play necessarily. Okay. It's like I'm going there to train. Like, it's just it's slightly different mindset.
So is it like work?
Is it kind of?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. You know how like artists will say they could just like get in the zone. Yeah. And it's fun, but it is work. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I
there's
think
a
for
purpose
me, it's like
to
a release, right? It's like a stress release.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm always, it's my time where I'm not really thinking about anything.
Right.
And so I'll just be running.
Yeah.
And then like,
yeah.
the problem with me running is I gotta stop.
Get lost.
I gotta like stop every quarter mile and write something down in my phone.
Yeah.
I'll be running. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's not really my experience with running, but
I don't know. It's just like when a lot of my ideas come is when I'm running.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I go on walks for ideas and just kind of daydream. I've got a couple of comfortable chairs I like to sit in, and
so as a startup entrepreneur, I think. Actually, I haven't really asked this question before, but I think this is something that could really benefit a lot of people. Is like, what tools are you using to like really build your business from a very foundational standpoint? Like, I know you said QuickBooks was like a tool that, right? Is there anything else? Like, what's your go-to resource for organization or anything like that?
I'll say this for networking purposes, like being in groups really helps. Like, I'm in BNI, I'm in a couple of masterminds. I'm also a member of, it's called We Should All Be Millionaires, the club. It's just an online community for women. It's great. Also, having a background of being on a team, really, like, I feel very comfortable, like, leaning on people that, are better at something than I. And I just, being by myself, it gets kind of, lonely's not the right word, but like, you get kind of freaked out, you need someone to like bounce ideas off of and just feel like, okay, I'm a human in a community. So, networking groups, I think, is something I really lean on. I at this point in my life, I have no problem asking for help. So thank God I got to that point. I wasn't like that in graduate school. I felt like I needed to do it all myself, hence all of the failure.
Are there any really cool like Gainesville resources? I mean, I know you said BNI, but is there any other cool groups that you're a part of?
Yeah, Santa Fe had a lot of like lunch and learns that I went to kind of when I was starting, and just had like time on my calendar to fill. I was like, where can I go to like have lunch with people? The Santa Fe, the startup group there was really helpful. There's a lot of running groups in town that I lean on to that are helpful, because a lot of those folks are very driven in other parts of their life, so they're good resources for me. Yeah.
Cool. Do you read?
A lot. Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I kind of got that feeling. I don't know why. I was like, I bet she reads a lot. I don't know. I just kind of got that vibe. Yeah,
I'm the kind of person that reads like 5 books at once. So I'm working through several right now. I'm reading.
How can you do that? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm definitely the person who's got to like finish one, and I can't even finish it. Like, I'll get like halfway through a book and I'll stop. And I don't know why.
So I think I'm like that too. So I just go to another book.
Finish. I don't know why.
I like to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm promiscuous with reading. I'm reading. I just read Business Made Simple by Miller. What's his first name? Donald Miller.
Okay.
Yep. And he's got a great like program with videos that goes along with it. So you like read a chapter, then you watch the video, and it's like a little course.
That's cool.
That's nice. Yeah. Rachel Rogers, who I'm in her online club, she just wrote a book called We Should All Be Millionaires, which is excellent. I recommend it to all women, but men can get a lot out of it as well. I'm reading Can't Hurt Me by Coggins. That's for a book club. For fiction, I'm reading Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale, which was pretty big a few years ago. I'm just catching up with that. Then there's one other one that I'm into, but I see you've got Steve Jobs over there on your shelf. Mm-hmm. I love that book.
Yeah,
I love it with Walter Isaacson. Yeah, that's probably my favorite book is Steve Jobs.
Really? Why? That's a pretty big book
it's
too.
Big, and I've reread it. I reread books
I listen
too.
to it.
Okay.
I'm super weird with books.
Yeah.
Like, I have to have like the physical
Yeah.
copy, and I will read lots of them.
Yeah.
But like I also like to listen to them. But no matter what, I'm getting both.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super. I feel like I have to have it. I don't know why.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I like looking at books. I love
some of
this.
them have like the charts and stuff, and I know like on the audio
Right.
they can share like that PDF files that kind of go with it. But like I don't. Nobody really does that. And so there's some books that you physically have to kind of like look at it and see the graphs.
See what they're talking about. Yeah. And sometimes jokes land a little differently when you're reading them versus hearing them.
Yeah.
Not that a lot of business books have jokes.
What's your favorite book of all time?
Steve Jobs is up there. I really love that book.
Great.
But no, I would say Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
Which like classic. And I think I loved it because I was so surprised by it. I didn't really know what it was about, but it's basically the Civil War from the South's point of view and from a female point of view. And growing up in New England, it's just not kind of the outlook that you get on American history. I just felt like it's just such a saga, you know what I mean? And there's there's war, there's love, there's death, there's birth. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's like a soap opera in a book. So Gone with the Wind, I would say, is probably my favorite.
Okay. And from a business standpoint, is there like a business book that, really hit it for you?
So, a lot of the business books that I read kind of have an athletic tilt to them. What Drives Winning by Brett Ledbetter. Becky Burley gave it to me, Coach Becky.
Okay.
So
I love Becky.
shout out. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
She's amazing.
Quick Coach Becky story. So my friend up in Massachusetts is also a soccer coach, and she was coming here for a race, Kat, my friend. And she was coming here to run the half marathon, the 5 Points of Life, on Sunday. And so I just, I found Coach Becky's email because, it's on the athletic page. And I said, "Hi, Coach Becky. My friend's coming to town. Would you have any time to like meet with us?" She's a coach of a soccer team up north. And I was like, "Do you have any time on Monday?" And Becky's like, "Sure, come on by." So we went up to her office on a Monday morning. We sat in her office that's overlooking the track and the soccer practice field, and she gave us like an hour of her time, which
That's amazing.
I mean, the advice, the wisdom, just the friendly banter that she dropped in that 1 hour. I mean, I got so much out of it. And she gave us this book too, What Drives Winning, and it's like she does I think like a conference also called What Drives Winning, and she's one of the speakers. So anyway, that I really love for like mindset work.
Cool.
Yeah, and then business, the Donald Miller book is really great because it's so simple, and it's like 60 days of like, this is what you need to know to run a successful business. And you just kind of go through it. It's like very simple. It's almost a checklist kind of book. So
what's like the greatest business advice or lesson that you've learned from one of those that's like really stuck with you that you're using in your business right now?
Oh, well, the one that I kind of live by is like, keep overhead low, keep expenses low. But also, like what Rachel Rogers really preaches is don't make broke ass decisions. Like don't, you know what I mean? Like don't waste your time like doing that doesn't like get you ahead, like outsource that if you have to, get an assistant, like really invest in things that are going to like propel you forward. And like your time is your most valuable resource, protect it and get like other things off your plate so you can like focus on what makes money.
It kind of reminds me of like, people get so hung up on like work-life balance, like it kind of reminds me of the same thing though. It's like, a lot of the decisions even that I'm making today are like, okay, like I want some of my time back. Mm-hmm. how much am I willing to pay for it?
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, I got to go hire somebody who's going to fill this role. And then, you know, sometimes like, and we have overall, we've had really great team members, but there's definitely been team members where you like you hire somebody and then they don't live up to your expectations. And then you're like, oh my gosh,
You've invested.
how can I like, how can I remove this person from the organization so I can save this money?
Dead weight, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and it's, God, those are things that are super tough as business owners, I feel like.
It is, yeah. And a lot of times, again, especially from a female point of view, like financial advice directed towards us in like social popular media and, you know, magazines and like, you know, financial advice for women is like, you need to save money, you need to contract, you need to like stop spending your money on lattes and like, you know, stop, you know, spending your money on clothes and all of this other stuff. And it's like, well, okay, like if you really have a spending problem, yes, but invest in things that are gonna, you know, that bring you joy and make you happy. So therefore you come to your job as a fully realized person, you know, you have less stress, you can produce more work, you know, instead of like spending your time clipping coupons, spend that time thinking how to make more money. You know, money is always available to you.
Do you know where the first place you're going to have to invest into? Like whether it's a person or, you know, like where are you going to have to invest first?
Yeah, probably a personal assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be so helpful just to take care of, you know, like maintenance on my trailer or like making the appointment to get
Have
my
you had
trailer.
an issue there before?
Yeah.
You've had a flat tire or something or what?
Knock on wood, I haven't had a flat tire. I went into a garage that was too low and like,
Kidding.
yeah, with the crunching sound of hitting your roof on a parking lot. It's the worst sound. It's like a child breaking an arm, you know?
Oh, man.
That's what it sounded like. So lesson learned, I don't park in garages anymore. But yeah, that was $700 lesson to learn. So, yeah. So, but I mean, I probably parked in that garage because I was stressed about something. You know, I was rushing to get somewhere. So I just think, yeah, like a personal assistant could have saved a lot of money in that scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely like trying to figure out what you're, I guess, weakest at, and
Yeah.
you know, having that extra hand really is
Right.
amazing. I'm definitely, I don't give myself enough credit from the standpoint of being organized. Like I say, I'm not the most organized. I'm actually, even going through what I'm going through right now, I'm like, dang, I'm extremely organized. But it's more of like, I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like,
Yeah,
like
I'm
all
with
the
you on that.
spreadsheets and, you know, like I got all these spreadsheets and it's super organized and I can track inventory and I got all this stuff. But man, I'm like,
But if you had your druthers, you'd be a hot mess.
yeah, if I could just like, honestly, if I could just sell
Being messy kind of feels good sometimes.
It
You know what I
does.
mean? Like just throw your towel on the floor and walk out. Like,
yeah, seriously.
right?
Yeah,
Like it's not fun to clean up after yourself or like be organized, but
I'm a really good
future Collin thanks you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a really good salesperson. Like I didn't really like. I love.
You wouldn't be here if you weren't.
Yeah, I mean, I love marketing, but like, there's been times even like in the last month or so where I'm just like, dude, like I almost like ran out of things to sell to people.
Yeah.
Like I sold them the scooter and then I sold them like all of the accessories, and I find myself at a place of like.
Yeah. The art of the sale is beautiful. I love it.
Do you want some coasters,
Yeah.
Go?
Yeah, these
Like
are
I'm like,
cool, yeah.
what else can I sell?
Are
Like,
they
I don't
leather?
even,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to sell. Yeah, I end up selling them everything in the store, and then I'm like, oh, I need something else.
That's what you need. Yeah. And like when you hire, you need people who love the art of the sale and
Yeah, see, that's the paperwork part is the part of the scooter process that I absolutely don't like.
Yeah,
like I
'cause
got to
it's
do
not a
something later
person.
tonight, and it's just like, dude, I don't even want to do it.
Yeah.
I like to be personable. I like to talk. Like
clearly.
the therapy session that you're talking, you know, it's kind of like building that relationship. It is kind of like therapy.
is.
Like talking to somebody, you're hearing their
'cause-
story. They start to
Yeah.
kind of release, and they feel.
And people love to buy things,
Yeah.
honestly. Like if it's what they need, or even if it's not what they need, but it's just you've really created a great story for them, and they're like in the story, and they're like, wow, yeah, I want some of that. And
Yeah. That's so good. There's a lot of that's back right now too, because I'm on the showroom floor. A lot of people are, I don't, maybe it's a presence thing. I don't know, but they ask, they're like, are you the owner? And,
Right.
and then that kind of creates the whole conversation. Let's started this back in 2004. And you share the story, and then they're really bought in. They're like, oh my gosh, like Gainesville's like changed because of you. And I'm like, well, because of my idea. It was really the team who like did all the execution. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely the spark, and
Yeah.
and that they end up invested into the story, and a lot of people will buy because of that.
Right.
It's huge.
And if, a lot of times I think people kind of promote themselves out of that selling job and they miss it. And so they find like, oh, I don't really love my business anymore. But it's like, no, you started the business because you love to sell, and now you're not doing that. So like the love is, you've lost that love and feeling.
What would you be doing if you weren't doing this? Would you be that professor?
I'd be a professor. If I didn't take probably the running route back in high school, I would have probably pursued dance, ballet a little bit more seriously.
Okay.
So I probably would have had a career, with a professional ballet company. Or I think just teaching. I think really I'd be in the teaching profession.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say is like the biggest sacrifice you've had to make in getting this off the ground?
A steady paycheck, I've invested my resources, but I've gotten a lot back, and I feel like my investments are paying off. So like I've just given up cash for equity, let's say. I've given up, probably security, which is okay. I mean, security's nice, but it's not probably my first priority in life. Sleep just from worry. But I'm working on that. Yeah. My boyfriend asks, he's like, do you suffer from anxiety? And I was like, well, I don't think I really suffer from it, but I have it. It just like wakes you up and lets you know, you've got something to address here if you're anxious about it, Yeah. Or it means you really care. So I think I have both of those. Just I care a lot, and there's things to work through.
Let's start asking that question, whether or not like the people that I interview, whether anxiety is like a natural part of their life.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like I feel like the more, say, successful. I mean, the definition of success is different for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. But like, if you get to that comfort level of not having financial stress or strain, or not having to worry about where the next, are you going to be able to pay your bills, or then because you poured your entire life savings into something, or like. Once you kind of get past that and the cash flow is good and you don't have the debt, and it's like, there's got to be a huge relief from that.
You would think, but I think it's a money mindset issue. And I think, a lot of people that are rich and well off, well off, have a lot of, they're worth a lot. I think they still can have money issues too, thinking that they're not deserving of it. They have imposter syndrome, and if you've come from a place of not a lot, which is the case of a lot of entrepreneurs, come from nothing to build something, you kind of have that in your back of your mind, like, oh, remember when we had food stamps and, not a full refrigerator. So like that comes back, I think, a lot for people, and you have to really overcome it and like train yourself to be okay and realize money's coming. Like it's currency. It's meant to move.
Yeah. How would you describe your childhood? I mean, in terms of, like middle class, or like where did you kind of fit?
The community I grew up in was probably, now it's very upper middle class, but when my parents bought their house in 1978, they paid like $40,000 for it. Now it's worth like
bukus.
Yeah. So I think that was smart. So anyway, my mom is a dental hygienist, retired, and my dad, he was a teacher and then worked for the Army Corps of Engineers as a wildlife biologist. So,
the only reason I ask is because, like,
middle class.
People have like this. I mean, this is super recent. I had something come up where somebody's perspective of me was very inaccurate.
Oh, okay.
And they had made some judgments about me, and about like, well, you live in this high life all the time. I was kind of like, you don't know anything about me, obviously. I grew up in a very, I mean, a little bit, like, but I was actually more surprised that the person really just did not know.
Yeah.
And so assumed. I try not to judge, and I just kind of say, look, you really don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
because like I grew up in a very humble, military
Yeah.
family, bounced around all over the place, like really pinching pennies. And
Yeah.
my dad, like he worked his butt off for everything he has. And now he's in a great spot. I mean, he's a pilot for Southwest Airlines. But he's worked his tail off to get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I was kind of surprised by it. But
Yeah, I think everyone has a story.
I'm kind of curious, like that. I look back at my upbringing as a child, and like that. I mean, that frugality, I guess, was like it was definitely impactful to me from the standpoint of like I do save, but I'm definitely investing.
Yeah.
And so
Where'd you
there's
grow
this
up?
balance.
In Florida?
No, so all over.
Oh,
like
okay,
really.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I was born in Kissimmee, but as soon as I was born, like we were gone.
Okay.
So because it was Air Force family, so
Yeah.
I lived in Texas, Virginia, Alabama,
Okay.
England. Like I've been all over the place. So
Yeah.
it was a great, it was a great experience. It was one of those things,
You probably never want to move again, though.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny that I kind of get to this point. I went to 3 high schools in 4 years.
Yeah,
And that
okay.
was super tough.
That
like,
is, yeah.
I mean, it was very challenging, but at the same time, when I look back, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm completely who I am because of this. Like
Totally.
my ability to do this, to connect with people, to interview, I mean, when you're a military kid, like you got to make friends like that. Because if you don't, I mean, if you're going to be shy
Survival,
and
yeah.
be like, you're never going to have friends, you got to be willing to like walk up to people and be like, hey, how you doing? I'm Collin. Nice to meet you. And kind of get into people's groups a little bit. And that definitely defined who I was later on in life when I became, a business person, because I was able to just, I'd go to a networking event, there'd be a circle of people over there, and I'd just walk up and start talking.
Yeah. Well, and in the military, I mean, it's very disciplined, it's very orderly and hierarchical.
Yeah.
And that translates well into business skills. I think I just thought of this, one of the influences for me starting this business was my grandmother, and the fact that, she was living in an assisted living facility and couldn't get shoes. She had foot problems, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if someone just came here with a truck of shoes? But her life, she was born in 1919, and then, so like she was coming of age, in the Depression, and she was essentially an orphan, when she was 20. And like, if you think about the history of women in finance, like she couldn't get her own like checking account. She couldn't get I don't even know if there were credit cards then. Like, she couldn't buy a house on credit. She couldn't get a line of credit. She couldn't, so she lived at the local the YWCA, got a room there. She got a job and supported herself, until she met my grandfather when she was probably 22 and got married. It was World War II. It's just like she had all these things, but she took care of herself, and she did it, which I just think is such a cool example to have. Not that many women could say that they were financially independent when they were 20 in the 1930s.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of
awesome.
where my who I am comes from, is that influence. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we have to wrap up in a minute, but like one of my favorite questions to ask people is like, if you could connect with one person, like who would that person be?
Oh, Sarah Blakely of Spanx.
Okay.
Yeah, she owns
They went public last year or two. No,
she owns 100% of her company.
I thought they went public. They did not.
No.
Okay. So
She's
still private?
she's like the patron saint of.
But I know she's like a
self-made billionaire.
Yeah.
First female American self-made billionaire. And actually these pants that I'm wearing right now are Spanx. Like, she makes a great product. Her company makes a great product. She gives a lot back to women entrepreneurs. She has a fund called the Red Backpack Fund that gives money to, up and coming businesses. She has 4 kids. She's just doing a lot of good in this world, and she's got a really bright genius mind, and I would love to meet her and talk to her about it.
I can't wait for that connection to happen, because you just put it out there in the world on this show.
Sarah Blakely.
And like I know she's an avid fan of ours.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
So, yeah, so one time it'll happen.
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, I would.
Awesome.
She's from Clearwater, so I mean,
Okay.
I'm only like a couple
dude.
of connections away. So
Does she still live in that area, or?
she lives in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And that's all I know. I don't like stalk her, but I know Spanx headquarters is in Atlanta, and she talks about living up there. Okay. She and her husband are co-owners or part owners of the Atlanta, some sports team. They own a sports team. Which I think is cool too.
You can do that when you're a billionaire.
Yeah, and
sports teams.
And she's just like, from what I gather, she's just a really good friend. You know, she'll take her friends on trips and treats them well, and just, I don't know, just it's a really nice example, I think, of what you can do with a great idea. Yeah, so Sarah Blakely.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So tell our audience where they can connect with you, where they can find you. How can they have you bring your
Yes, if you'd like a great pair of shoes, you can visit sudasfitfoot.com, or you can find me on social media, Facebook or Instagram. I'm at Suda Shoes, and that's just one S. It's Suda Shoes. Otherwise, you get a bad word in the middle there if you use two S's. So, my email is sudasfitfoot@gmail.com. So all those ways work.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks. My pleasure. This was great.
Great getting to know you and great to hear your story. And I look forward to this is what's so great about the show is I get to kind of see it in the early stages,
That's
your business in the early stages. And then, we've already done a 3-year callback on a couple of other episodes. And so to see where it goes.
That'll be fun.
3 to 5 years from now, I'll be like, what?
Wow. I knew her when.
Yeah. I knew her when. Yeah. Don't forget about us little people.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again.
Great. My pleasure.
And also, you guys, I want us to give mad love to James Leitner, who produces this and makes all of us look good with this great lighting and editing and everything that you do. Thanks, James, for all your hard work on the show. And I also want to give a huge shout out and love to my friends over at Liquid Creative. Those of you that have been longtime listeners know that Sarah Lentz, has been working with us for a while. Well, she's gone the entire summer, and I've been struggling to even get everything uploaded and ready to go out on the show. So Liquid Creative has really stepped up to the plate and helped me with a lot of this. So that's one of those things I'm kind of talking about, right? I was talking about earlier about the little things I can get on a microphone and talk, but after it's recorded, it has to be edited by professionals like James, and then it's got to get uploaded to the internet and scheduled out, and all the show notes and all the planning. I mean, there's so much work that's involved. So thank you, Liquid Creative, for coming to my rescue during all this, because as you guys know, I'm currently the general manager, the sales manager, the HR person, the customer service manager, and the head janitor over at New Scooters for Less right now. So having y'all's help has been incredible. So many, many thanks to those guys for all their help, and be sure to check them out at liquidcreativestudio.com. They do incredible work here in our community, and they also write the incredible articles and show summaries on a lot of our guests in the Business Report. Get your business news for Gainesville right here from the Business Report. You can get that at GainesvilleBizReport.com. And so thanks again for that. And Podcast fam, if you're driving and didn't have a chance to write down the information of our incredible sponsors, be sure to check it out in the show notes. We always link it up. It's whoagnv.com/sponsors. And special love this episode to our friends over at Leonardo's Millhopper. You guys, when I finished working a long, long day and I'm exhausted and I'm about to head home for the day, I always drop that text to my wife, hey babe, what are we going to do for dinner? And she says, no idea. I'm still at soccer with the boys, which basically means that I'm responsible for dinner. And of course, I'm going to go to Leonardo's Millhopper. I got my shirt on and everything. I'm going to go over there. I sit down, have a beer, wait for my pizza order, and they make it up right. That Chicago style, that deep dish. And what's so great about it too is the fact that this pizza is so big that I bring it home and my wife will eat a piece. My boys will eat a piece each, and then I've got 5 pieces for myself. That ends up feeding me the rest of the week, and especially with those garlic knots, oh my gosh. So you guys, definitely support Leonardo's Millhopper. Give them a call, and you can order that takeout. You can reach them at 352-376-2001, or you can order online at leonardosmillhopper.com. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Local business, wonderful service, and incredible food. Support them because they support us. Thanks, Kyle, for everything you do. And when you give them a call, say, hey, guys, I heard you on the WHOA GNV podcast, the podcast for you businesses and individuals that make you go,
whoa.
Whoa. We will see you later. Bye.